Have you ever been told to speak up more, to own the room, to be bolder, to be louder, be more visible, just to be seen as a leader? Well, advice might be popular, but it's very outdated. And today, we're flipping the script. Yeah, that's right. We're flipping the script. Because the truth is, being loud has never, and when I say never, I mean never, been the requirement for being impactful. Remember that, okay? I want to welcome you to the Quiet Mic. This is where we amplify the voices of those who lead with calm confidence. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We lead it unapologetically. We lead without that noise. My name is Natasha Gray, and I am the founder of the House of Quiet Impact and your host for the Quiet Mic. I created this space for the quietly powerful. You know, the introverts, the deep thinkers, the ones who've been overlooked just because we didn't fit that traditional mode of leadership. Okay. That's what this space is for. So, a little bit about me. For over 17 years, I worked in HR. I led teams, I mentored leaders, I sat across from executives on their best days as well as their worst ones. I've had to speak, to people doing their breakdowns in my office. And I spoke with other people that had power and acted like nothing ever phased them. So, a wide spectrum of people. But what always stood out was how much people underestimated the ones who didn't speak first or the ones who didn't always have the flashiest presence. That's what always stood out to me. Sometimes those were the exact people that were making the biggest impact. And I myself was included in that batch. This podcast is my way of pulling back the curtain because we need to really talk about what leadership looks like. And we need to talk about what it looks like when you're not the loudest person in the room. Okay? So let's start there. So here's the problem that I'm seeing being loud, I'm gonna be honest, it's overrated. Yep, I said it. It's overrated. And I know I probably ruffle some feathers, but that's okay. We've been taught to just equate leadership with charisma and unfortunately with volume. The louder person seems to always be deemed as the more confident. Okay? They're seen to be the one that takes up the most space. And because of that, they seem to be more powerful. But let me ask you something real. I want to be real with you for a minute. Have you ever worked with somebody that you knew that they they knew how to command a room, but they had absolutely no clue on how to lead people? Yeah, I've seen it countless amount of times. Or maybe you followed someone who had all the confidence in the world, but none of the integrity or none of the self-awareness to back it up. Yeah, I've seen it too. We are in a leadership era where visibility is being confused with value. And that's a huge problem. I'm going to speak on it. It's a huge problem because real leadership has never, and when I say never, I mean never, been about volume. Although that's a misconception. It's always been about clarity, trust, consistency, and the ability to hold space for other people. I want you to know this loud does not equal leadership, clarity does. So let's stop rewarding the loudest person in the room. Okay? Let's stop and let's start recognizing the most aligned. That's what we need to start. Now, a common misconception is that quiet is weakness. It's not. It's not at all. Instead, it's a weapon. Here's what most people get wrong about quiet leadership. They think that if you're quiet, then they assume that you're unsure about yourself or you're soft spoken or you lack presence. But in reality, we're the ones that's observing everything that's going on in the room. We see what's not being said, we read the temperature of the room, and then we notice the nonverbal cues, quite frankly. So when we speak, it's with intention because we've noticed everything already before we even open our mouths. Our presence is strategic. So you don't need to constantly talk loud to just be in control, but you do need to be the most visible to be the most valuable. Quiet leaders don't waste words, we make them count. So, have you ever come into contact with somebody that says a lot, but really and truly they're not saying anything? Yeah. I have countless times. That's what I'm referring to. We quiet leaders make words count. And that's what I really, really encourage you to do. You see, quiet leaders don't just fill space, they shift it. So if you've been told to be more visible or be more vocal or be more like a leader, just know you're not broken. You're just operating by a different standard. And honestly, that's a good thing. Don't let nobody tell you different. Let me share. I want to give you a story, one that I actually still reflect on when I think about the power of presence. Okay. When I was a leader of my own team, there was a team member that I inherited who had, let's just say, a bit of a reputation. And people said that she was hard to read. They said that she wasn't a team player. Yeah, who heard that one? Probably said it about you. Who knows? But the energy around her was so tense. The meeting started to get awkward and people just kind of danced around her. They assumed that she just didn't care. Um, I I could have bought into that narrative, but you know what? I didn't. I just said, nah, that can't be life. So instead, I asked to speak with her one on one. I had no agenda. I just wanted to have a conversation. And I said, I've noticed that you don't say much in meetings. So I'm curious, what's been your experience um, on this team so far? Okay. Because I just wanted to know. And she paused and she looked surprised. And then she opened up. I was surprised too, I'm not gonna lie. Turns out that she'd been shut down in meetings before, and her ideas were oftentimes ignored or credited to somebody else. So she just decided to stop talking altogether. Now, it wasn't because she didn't care, but it was because it felt safer for her to stay quiet. And that moment was eye opening for both of us. She was not disengaged, she was just protecting herself. So I totally got it. And that helped me move with clarity on how to interact with her. But because I made space for her to be heard without judgment, things started to shift a bit. She began speaking up more, a little slow at first, but then with more confidence. That one conversation that we had, it actually changed our entire dynamic completely. And it changed the way that the team interacted as well, for the better. And why? It was because quiet leadership doesn't push, it invites. And I invited her to just have conversation. Okay. So tell me in the comments, have you ever had a moment like that? Were you the teammate that I talked about? Or were you in my position where you wanted to just have a conversation? Have you ever been in a place where calm presence created a turning point for somebody? It actually matters more than you think it does. So let's talk about that. Put it in the comments somewhere. I want to talk. So what can you do this week? Well, if you're ready to start showing up without performing, without pretending, or without pushing yourself to be someone that you're not, I'll give you 3 ways to lead this week without losing yourself because you don't want to lose yourself. And I know how that feels. Okay. First, say less with more weight. Okay. So the next time that you're in a meeting or just interacting with someone, don't rush to respond. Pause, think, and then speak with clarity. You'll be remembered more for what you said, not for how fast you said it. You'll often hear me say, and this is one that I always say, there's power in the pause. This is definitely one of those moments that I'm talking about where it definitely holds to be true. Okay. Number 2, create intentional space, whether it's in a one on one meeting or in a team setting. Create intentional space. Okay. Make room for other people to speak first. Quiet leaders know how to listen in a way that makes people feel seen. Okay. And that's important because it matters to not only to you, but to others. And number 3, honor your pace. You don't have to match the energy of the loudest person in the room. Lead at your own natural rhythm. People respect steadiness more than showmanship. Okay. Remember that. Now, let me know in the comments which one of these will you try this week. You only have to try one. So drop the number 1, 2, or 3 down in the comments below. And if you've already been doing one of these, tell us what kind of impact it's made. Okay. Remember, You don't have to be the loudest in the room to lead the room, okay? You don't have to be the loudest in the room to lead the room, okay, friend? If this episode resonated, I want to make sure that you subscribe, share with a friend, share with somebody that's always felt like they had to be more just to be seen. This community here is not about changing who you are. It's about helping you lead with what's already to be true. Okay. Also, I want to remind you or let you know if it's whichever. I go live every Thursday at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And every single time I'm bringing real talk that respects your quiet power, I invite you to join the conversation. Come on. That's why we're going live. Let's build something powerful without the performance. Okay. This is the quiet mic. This is a new kind of mic for a new kind of voice. Until next time, I'll see you later.